Happiness is one of those words or one of those concepts that is kind of hard to define because maybe what one person will make one person happy would not make another person happy. Yet at the same time, most people seem to be saying that they're looking for happiness, they want to live a happy life, and this is a driving force for them. So when we talk about happiness, um, it may mean different things to different people, but we can understand it here that it's just a general feeling of feeling good and feeling content and not feeling so much in need, and not being unhappy, I guess. I mean, when we try to understand one word, we can understand it from the opposite. So being unhappy is being in need, in wanting things that we don't have, being sad. So we don't want these things, we want to feel happy and content. These two things seem to go together. So if we want to live a happy life, there are some things that we can do, and often it relates to our perspective on life because our thoughts often influence our feelings. So the more we change our thoughts and perspective on life and the world, the more we may feel happy and content within ourselves. So one of the best things we can do to feel happy is to be grateful for the things that we do have in our lives. And this is why we find that some people, they can be poor, and they may not have as many things as somebody else, but we may see this poor person as happier than someone who has a lot of things in their lives, because the perspective of these two people is different. Sometimes you see a poor person and they're very happy for the things that come to them in their life. For example, um, some some people I've seen who are poor, they're very happy if someone gives them a gift. They're very grateful for someone to provide for them some food that they're needing. The fact that they didn't have it and then they were given it makes them very grateful, and so they are more happy when something comes their way. And some of the people who I see who are poor, they they just accept the things that they have in their lives. They have their house, they have their family, and they are grateful for these things. They say that, okay, that's enough for me. I don't have enough money exactly, but I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful that my family is here for me. I'm happy with them, and Alhamdulillah, I'm grateful that I have food to eat. You know, maybe it's not the most expensive or the most uh, the type of food that some people are eating, but I have food. So some people, when they are poor, they have contentment and happiness. We sometimes think that money can make us happy, and having a lot of things can make us happy, but actually they don't at times, because maybe going after money maybe makes us more tired. Maybe it takes us away from the things that can actually bring us contentment. Sometimes going after money, going after worldly things, um, can take away time from our families, from our loved ones, and also, maybe we buy things that take our time as well, and maybe they don't work as well as they should, and these things cause us more stress and anxiety at times. And at the end of the day, maybe we have more money, but it's just in the bank, or some people who are rich. I've heard of stories of people, for example, in England, who are rich. These people, sometimes their life is are very stressful because they don't know exactly who their friends are. For example, are their friends there for them because they want money? Uh, they have people wanting to marry them because they have money. People want to marry them because they have a house and they have money. And this person wants some friends and people to be sincere to them. So they feel stressed and they feel in uh, a lack of contentment because they're having to worry about their money. and who's after their money. Is someone going to steal it? Does someone want to break into their house? So they have to buy things to protect their house. They have to um, make sure their money is safe in the bank. Um, they have to be extra careful if they want to get married, or look at their friendships. Are their friendships really, really sincere, or are their friends wanting to be associated with them because they have money or they have some sort of position or power? I'm not saying that having money cannot make you happy, because obviously when we do have money, or when we have different things, we can do things with them. So when these things come our way, we should be grateful for them. The issue is not actually having money or not, it's the actual perspective and feeling that we are grateful and content with what we have. Because even if someone has a very huge bank account, but they're feeling that that is not enough, or they want more, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be content. And as I just mentioned, there are people who are poor who are content. They say, okay, I have enough to eat, and I have a house, and I have a family, so I'm okay. And there's actually a hadith that I read in one of the books of tafsir that said, in the time of Bani Israel, if someone had a house, they had enough to eat, and they had a wife, they were considered like a king, just if they had this amount. But nowadays, this is kind of a normal situation. Even a poor person can have these things. But at that time, they were considered a king if they had these kind of things. So our happiness and contentment are to do with our perspective. And also, we can obtain happiness by actually forgetting ourselves. And when we focus on the other people and we go after the happiness of other people, this is another way to make ourselves happy and to bring contentment into our lives. And this is something that psychology says as well. I mean, I used to read the books of Dale Carnegie, like, and I read in one of his books that going out and helping people is one of the ways that people can deal with depression. Putting our attention onto other people helps us to forget about our own problems. And this is also from a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he told us that to look at the people who have more than, look at the people who have less than you, and don't look at the people who have more than you. And this is a very wise way of dealing with the issue of lack of contentment, because obviously when we look at people who have more than us, we're going to feel that we don't have enough. So if we look at the people who have less than us, we're going to feel grateful that we have what they didn't have. I mean, in reality, I think all people have something that somebody doesn't have. And all people are maybe lacking something that other people do have. I mean, like I mentioned about someone who's rich but is not content. They don't have the contentment, but they have the money. They don't have the peace of mind, but they have the money. And somebody else maybe don't have the money, but they have peace of mind, and maybe they have a family that cares about them and who they are close towards. Because as well, sometimes, when we see people who tend to be poorer, we see that they have large families, but their families are very close. And at the same time, we see rich people, maybe they don't have children, or maybe they have one child or a few children, and they have relationship problems. So this is another, sometimes I see these people and they're actually very happy, with large families. And this brings me to another point as well, that, I listened once to a podcast and someone had done research, and they followed some people throughout their lives from their young age, I think from their teenage years or their early 20s, and they followed them right throughout their lives to when they were older. I don't know exactly to what age they were, but they followed them throughout their lives, how they made friendships and how they lived their lives, how they got work, when they got married and had families and children. And they interviewed them and followed them throughout their lives. And these people, when they were in their later lives, when they were older, um, they were asked about the things that made them happy and what made them what the things that made them happy and content in this life, and what were the things that they regretted, for example. And these people, they said the main things that they realized made them happy in their lives were their families and their relationships. They regretted the times that they put their work before their families, and maybe they were busy when they could have gone and seen their friends or relatives or families. Um, they said they remembered times when they they decided they wanted to go to their work. They put their work in front of their families, and in their old age, in their older years, they wished that they had given more time to their families and been with them, because they realized that it's our relationships and our families that are actually making us happy. This is the thing that makes us content, having good relationships. And I think this is maybe why in the world we live now, with all these complications and going after money and going after um, these worldly things. I'm not saying that they're not important, because we have to do these things um, to live. And in reality, if someone doesn't have enough for their needs, they can't be happy as well, because people need to eat and they need to provide for their house and so forth. But after this, when we have enough, the things that make us happy are our families and good relationships, and that's why we should take care of them. And I find it interesting as well that in the Quran, if you read about the verses that talk about um, Jannah, the gardens of paradise, you often find that, I mean, people will be in gardens, they talk about the greenery, the plants, they talk about, people eating what they want and reclining on phones with their wives, and they have people bringing them drinks and stuff. So we find that they have these basic needs are mentioned as something that we will find in Jannah. For example, people are going to eat whatever they want, and people, they're going to be in gardens. And you find in this world that I think most people, when they want to feel relaxed, or when they want to take time out, they like to go with their families to maybe visit the park, to go on a walk in the countryside, to be in this kind of green area. And they say that the green things, they actually make us feel calm. When we look at plants and when we look at nature, we feel in touch or connected to the natural world. We feel calmer and more natural, and we forget the worries of this life, because for those of us who've grown up in cities, we've grown up without all of this greenery, and we've grown up with this these industry things. There's pollution, and we just look out the window, we see other houses, for example. Um, and even the relationships we have maybe are not very close with people, because they're often busy with their work and their studies and so forth. But when people want to take time out and they want to feel relaxed, they I think most people, from what I see, they like to go to the country. They like to go to the park. They like to go and walk in a green area. And there are good reasons for that. We feel better when we see the greenery, when we're walking through plants. Plants also give us a nice smell. I mean, this is the reason why we like to put flowers in our house as well, because they give a nice smell. And the Quran mentions that we will be with our wives and offspring. We will be connected with them again. And and these are the things that bring us peace and happiness. I mean, people like to go to these places with their families, with people, and especially with a husband or wife, or with their family, with their parents, with their children, grandchildren. Family is very important, and according to psychology as well, um, keeping up good relationships with families and friends, especially with family and relatives, these are the things that help us best to deal with stress and depression and anxiety. We have to have good relationships with our parents and families in order to feel good, in order to feel okay. And they, the need for connection in us. We have that. We have the need to feel connected to others. And as I mentioned earlier, making other people happy also makes us happy. I mean, if you want to try it, try smiling at someone and seeing them smile. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said that a smile is charity. And so we can do these small charities very easily every day, and they actually help us to feel better. I mean, if you have someone smile at you, don't you ever feel that you feel a lot happier? And sometimes, maybe something you were worrying about, something you were sad about, just goes away because somebody smiled at you that day. So these small issues, a smile, or just helping someone in the street, visiting someone, these are things that our religion recommends us to do. They are things that can help bring happiness to other people, and they also bring happiness to ourselves. And if you want a kind of scientific understanding for that, they say that we have electricity, in our bodies coming from our hearts and surrounding us by about 20 feet. And, our thoughts and our feelings go out from us and affect other people, and their thoughts and feelings can affect us too. So when we cause other people's happiness, they can affect us as well through these ways. So I hope this recording has been helpful, and I hope that we can all improve our lives and help ourselves to be happier and help those around us to feel happier and better as well. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.